Welcome to the Stacked Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, which is really going to be a bit of a catch-up from the last couple of weeks, as loyal followers will know I did miss last week, and I apologize for that. A lot of things going on over here that we've managed to catch up to, a project that we'll be sharing a little more information on soon, as well as our expo, which is, if you didn't know about it, we're running our digital online exclusive supplement expo once again on August 10th. It's going to be jam-packed with a mountain of brands, what turns out to be. And as always, we've encouraged companies to unveil and introduce and tease and announce new products during the Stacked Supplement Expo. And I would say majority, if not almost all of the companies who are participating are going to be doing exactly that. So when it goes down on August 10th through to August 16th, the website stack.pro or stack.com/expo is going to play host to a mountain of new products and innovation, pretty much a week, a celebration of excitement and creativity for that whole weekend. And I'm excited to kick it off and get it going again. And another thing that we've been working on, it's taken up a bit of time, but a lot of fun time, is a podcast that we're actually doing with pretty much a host of fantastic industry people. It's called The Final Scoop. I'm pretty sure if you look it up on your podcast platforms, you'll find it. But it's done with the genius over at the Supplement Engineer, Robert. I've done a podcast with him before. Great guy, very, very smart man. And he basically got us together with Robert, the intense and always entertaining Robert from Apollo Nutrition, Lukash, from the biggest supplement distributor in Europe, in Prometheus, and TJ, who is, as always, extremely entertaining, and he joins us, and we just talk about a whole bunch of things, from products, releases, workouts, pretty much anything. It's called The Final Scoop, and it's just a bunch of fun. But you can check that out. Like I said, go hit up the Supplement Engineer. I think we've linked it on our Instagram as well a few times. But yeah, so we're going to get right back into it with this episode for our, what is still intended to be a weekly podcast, catch up on all the exciting news and announcements. So yeah, we're going to kick it off with news from Gaspari Nutrition. Now, this news actually is something that we had heard about quite some time ago. This was, I think it was, I don't even know. I mean, I remember a lot of things, but I don't quite remember this. But a while back, Gaspari mentioned it was bringing back as one of its legacy supplements. Of course, Detonate was the one that came to mind. And if you're not familiar with Detonate, it was a very popular fat burner way back in the day from the brand, well known for its feel, energy, focus, drive. It was followed up by I think it was Spiridex. So if you can remember that one, it was the one before that, and it was very well known. And yeah, so just recently, Gaspari Nutrition bought the supplement back with a new formula, of course, nothing like the none of the same ingredients as the original, and the name is also quite different. Not quite, but so while the original is called Detonate, this one has been a shortened version to just DTN8. So it's a four character name, just a shortened version, more modern, I guess. But the game, or the goal of the product, is still to very much deliver a high energy, high focus, drive, mood, all while still supporting weight loss. So it's still a very comprehensive, stimulant powered formula. And most noticeably, the brand has decided to fully transparently dose this one. That's not something that you get with all of Gaspari's supplements, so it's cool to see. You can check out the formula on our website. But yeah, it's a nice mix of you got caffeine, tyrosine, theobromine for the energy, feel, sensory type effects, and grains of paradise is also in the mix. A well-known popular weight loss ingredient, as well as capsicum extract. And an interesting addition to this is, on top of the energy focus and your typical weight loss benefits, the brand has also thrown in not really a blend, but a group of 3 ingredients to support stress and cortisol control, to really make a more well-rounded, I guess, more comprehensive fat burner, especially compared to the heavy stim stuff we got back in the day, including Detonate. For that, they've got olive leaf, 5-HTP, theanine, and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is in dose supremely high, I think it's 100 milligrams, so nothing like the 600 we're used to seeing. But they've done, they've put those things in there to potentially support that, and I guess, again, add more benefits and effects that can kind of be roped into that fat-burning type supplement. From there, we go to a category that has been on the rise as of late. I believe it was Outbreak, who was one of the first big sports nutrition brands who really jumped into the gaming category. But these past few months, we've seen just a surge of interest. I have to imagine it was because of G Fuel, right? Like, G Fuel has been on fire since last year with its collabs, and it's just showing how good and how popular the gaming category can be even though that's your only type of supplement. And G Fuel is just, it's just unbelievable how well they've done and how creative and consistent they've been. And even this year, despite the coronavirus and everything, COVID-19, everything that's going on, they've managed to keep it pumping, keep it hitting with collabs and unique flavor releases and just incredible creativity and consistency. But yeah, over the past few months, a lot of companies have shown interest in the gaming category and jumped into it. Not quite as much as the immune health or superfood areas, but equally popular. Potentially going to be equally as popular. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because MyoBlocks, the guys behind popular products such as Skywalk, Loco, Blow, they're known for a lot of good, relatively good supplements, especially Skywalk. I think that was one of their more popular ones. I'm a big fan of Skywalk, their pre-workout. Again, they got a nice lineup of advanced products that are well known, especially when they do all those the limited editions that they've done, like almost just, I think it's annually on the month. I think we've mentioned it on this podcast before, but either way, the minds behind MyoBlocks have created a new gaming brand. This isn't a gaming supplement under the MyoBlocks name. MyoBlocks is their name is not on the product, or the first product whatsoever. So the name of the brand is Super Duper Labs, and the first product is very simply named Gaming Energy. Now, if you were following on the site the first time we posted this product and brand, it was quite an interesting thing because we shared the image and the formula, and then about, I don't know, 6 hours later, a few hours later, the team from MyoBlocks hit us up and said, "Oh, that's not the final image or the final formula," and I was like, okay. Which was interesting because it was on their website, and when we asked them why they had it on there, they just said it was a placeholder, which I thought was the strangest thing because I had never seen. I'd seen brands put up like images of products to like intentionally throw people off. I'd never seen anyone throw it off just as a placeholder or put up an actual facts panel that was presented very much as a real facts panel, but not actually the final formula. So it was interesting, but we mentioned that in the post when we found that out and when they let us know. But 1 week later, in the past couple of days, we finally got a full unveiling of Super Duper Labs and its first supplement, Gaming Energy, as well as the ingredients behind it. Now, much like every other gaming product out there, the focus of this one is just to provide benefits and effects that'll raise your game, right? And it's not simple, but the benefits are at least more simple than a pre-workout, whereas you've got to try and take in performance, endurance, hydration, and all that stuff. Gaming supplements focus primarily on energy focus and just increase that overall alertness and reaction time, and I guess long-lasting energy and focus too. So that's pretty much the goal behind Super Duper Labs' first supplement, Gaming Energy. But surprisingly, and someone commented on Instagram about this, the formula isn't as loaded or as extensive as I would have thought. If it was just a random brand, which I guess this would be if you didn't know it's from MyoBlocks, but because we know it's from MyoBlocks, I did expect a little more. Again, if it was a brand that I just didn't know about, it would just came out of nowhere, I would think that makes sense. But the formula is pretty simple. Mostly because I know that it's from MyoBlocks, and MyoBlocks is known for Skywalk, and Skywalk is a pretty, not exactly loaded, but well put together, creatively crafted focus supplement, and very effective. Whereas Gaming Energy kind of seems a little simpler, which I guess makes sense. I mentioned that with Ghost Gamer. I felt that while Ghost Gamer is great for gaming, it provides just great alertness, great focus, great energy. The highlight of that product is that those benefits last a long time. Like, we had experienced them over several hours, whereas my favorite focus supplement, they don't consistently stay at their peak in terms of like effects and benefits, but they are just complex. Like, they get you thinking, they get you firing the cognition. It's just intense, some of these top-rated focus supplements, and that's the kind of stuff I prefer, whether it be for productivity, gaming, or really just general focus. But with gaming supplements, I guess if you are going to sit down and just game like multiple hours, some of these things it's hard to compare, I guess, against those products that are just more general purpose focus supplements. And so I guess in some way the Super Duper Labs formula makes sense, but again, I think it's just because I prefer and experience a lot of these loaded, more comprehensive focus supplements. But they've Super Duper Labs hasn't put a whole lot of ingredients in this one. There's dynamine, a blend of caffeine with natural caffeine combined with dicaffeine malate, so again, sustained release. That's at 300 milligrams per serving, so it's a good amount of caffeine. I still prefer the 150 mark, the monster, that's just, I prefer 150, 200 for just anytime energy and focus. But I guess since it's sustained release, it's a trade-off. And then alongside that, there are vitamin B12 and B6, vitamin C, tyrosine, and choline at some reasonable doses. So again, it's quite simple compared to Skywalk. You can check it out on our website. But yeah, it's I guess another highlight of this one is the marketing, as you'd expect coming from Myoblocks. The branding and marketing they've put together for this is pretty interesting. They've gone with a very retro, kind of throwback, nostalgic type feel. One of their first images is the product in a classic arcade, gaming arcade. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I imagine they're going to get pretty creative with this. Probably spice things up in terms of branding. I wouldn't be surprised if they take the Myoblocks approach and do like a limited edition that's added this or swap that out. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. Again, anything from Myoblocks or the minds behind Myoblocks tends to be exciting. So I look forward to see where that one goes. From those two, we head to a brand that's been in the news a lot, not just a little bit, I'll say moderately this year, but mostly last year, and then last year when they launched, and that is no other than Glaxon. Glaxon has been just a star, really, for a company that's only been around for, 8 months, maybe 9. They have just become such a household, well-established name in terms of marketing, creativity, branding, and we've done this with a few brands in the past where they launched a lot out of the gate, and so we decided to do just sort of an experience review rather than a review of this and a review of that. And so we came out and we basically we've been trying a whole bunch of Glaxon supplements over the past couple months. And for me, that's always the best way to experience a brand and supplements, is just to try them for a month or two, not just a week, or at least they give you the good idea, a better idea on their effectiveness and stuff. And so we'd run multiple Glaxon supplements over the past few months, and from an overall perspective, I have to say the reliability of the brand is just there, right? Their marketing and is insane, but the branding on the products is just taken to another level when you get to feel it in your hand. That the raised text, the print, the patterns, the texture, it's an experience when you get the supplements, and I liken it to just that childhood feeling, when you get all the supplements in and you're excited because it's the packaging and the brain is just so cool, and they just hit the mark. But that is carried along into the effectiveness of the supplements. And across the board, I didn't try a single one of Glaxon supplements that weren't effective. There were some we didn't try. I think we didn't do Slice, one of their pump products. But all of the ones we tried, they were effective. They were noticeable. They did what they were promoted to do. None of them, a couple of them were I would say top rated. I believe we're now ranked Flight, which is their recovery supplement, as one of our top favorite recovery supplements. I think we've also got another one ranked in there. I think Alpha 365, which is their test booster. That's an awesome experience, that one, as far as test boosters go. But again, there wasn't a single product that we had of theirs that didn't deliver in some aspect. Some were top rated. None of them were, below average. Their pre-workouts I felt were pretty competitive. I think I mentioned this in the post. None of them were like super mind-blowing. They hit. I got good performance. I got good energy. I got good focus. I didn't really notice, again, like a super comprehensive experience compared to the top rated stuff. But one of the most interesting things and exciting things about this brand was that, again, it was a comprehensive lineup. This isn't a brand where you could just buy their pre-workout. If you bought other stuff from them, you would be equally impressed. And that's not something you see with a lot of brands. That's not something you see with just that consistency. Brands that spread themselves across this many categories are very rare, but it's even rarer for them to just deliver effectiveness in all these different areas, regardless of whether it is moderate effectiveness to up in the top range. Ghost is probably another one with Ghost Pump, top rated pump pre-workout, but then their pre-workout Ghost Legend is not on the same level. It's not in that realm. And I guess to some extent that's what Glaxon is. Their recovery supplement flight is insane. It just destroyed any muscle soreness that I was expecting to have, especially coming out of lockdown into training. It's one of those things where, like, if you're an experienced in the workout, you'll know when there's workouts that you've done or weights that you've pushed or times where you're like, tomorrow I'm going to be hurting. This just, I have those workouts that I do to test, to figure out, I need to make myself sore. But since Try and Flight, that was just non-existent. It was insane. There was odd aches, but nothing intense, nothing over the top. And obviously, as I've said several times before, the more recovered you are, the better you're going to be going in the next day and hitting the weights and training hard. So I've always put recovery first, and so this one was just very impressive. And again, it's just that overall completeness of the brand that I just was quite happy with. If you're a consumer who comes along, you won't be disappointed if you buy all your supplements from Glaxon. Let's put it that way. I like buying all within one brand. Core Nutritionals is a brand that I like buying everything from. PE Science is another one. There are very few that I would be happy to buy everything from and just get a complete stack. Serious Nutrition Solutions is one. But yeah, they just have a very nice, well-rounded lineup. And again, none of the products we tried, they all delivered. They were all effective. I can't really pick any holes in any of them. I would have liked the pre-workouts to, I guess, be a little more comprehensive, like enhance the pumps, but they have split the lineup, I guess, in the pre-workout area to do that, whereas they've got their GFY, which is their high stim pre, and then they have Specimen, which is a less stim, but more well-rounded experience. And those complete pre-workouts is what I like personally, is what I rank high. And that's what a lot of companies get out there, like Hypermax delivers everything for me. Energy, focus, pumps, performance, endurance, it's all there. Whereas with Specimen and even GFY, it doesn't deliver too much on the pump side. But at the same time, they have 2 pump pre-workouts that you can stack with this to do that. So it's a very specialist brand in that sense, but they do have you covered from all areas. And again, I tried their pump pre-workout. Again, did not disappoint. Noticeably bigger pumps. It's an impressive brand. You can read this the post. It's on the site. Just type in Glaxon, and it'll come up. But it just gave me a good first-hand experience and let us know just, I guess, how reliable and how consistent the brand is. If it's just marketing, but so happy that I got to try them firsthand and find out it's not often a brand, like I said, it's not often a brand comes along with just this comprehensiveness. But check that out on the site. But from there, we move across to one of the brands that I've been mildly more interested in since I kind of first saw them, and it was only because of, again, their branding. Branding attracts me. I've got a graphic design background, so good branding, good marketing always gets me. But the brand is called Value, which is how I think you say it. It's a German brand. And when I first saw their packaging, I just needed to know more. And so, yeah, it's a German brand, formulated and created with bodybuilders, and they have a unique lineup. And I wouldn't say it's unique because they load up this supplement and they put too much of this. They just have a unique selection, and they've put a lot of focus in areas that you wouldn't expect them to put focus. So the brand, they have a protein powder, they have an energy formula, which is not a pre-workout, just a more anytime energy formula. They have a stimulant-free pre. I'm trying to bloody remember the other one, but I can't for the life of me. Oh, and they have an amino called mTOR. And this is the thing, the other stuff is very, not straightforward, but complex, and I guess not something we hadn't seen before. Very well-rounded. Although the energy formula is very basic, but its price reflects that. But the amino that they have, mTOR, and I've mentioned this on other episodes, the thing's stacked, and it's just weird to see a brand do a protein, a moderate energy, a stim-free pre, and then just this packed out amino. And the more interesting thing is that the price on it is insane. The price on mTOR is the most expensive, makes it the most expensive product in the lineup. I think it's at like 60 euros, which is expensive. But the reason I brought them up again this time is because they recently announced, not recently announced, they revealed and released a intra-workout product. And over the past couple of weeks, they teased this thing and said that they made a lot of noise about it. Mostly because they were saying that they spared no expense. They were very clear that budget was not a limit on them for this. They were like, we're going to do this, and it's going to be intense. And so I was curious to see how it turned out. And they revealed the formula, and damn, this thing is, it reminds me a lot of Steel Supplements, their peri-workout supplement. It's going to piss me off what the hell it's called. Damn it. Steel Supplements. It was one of the earlier products from the brand. And it's Anabolic. There we go. I looked it up. Sorry. I was going to bug the hell out of me if I didn't find out what it was. And it's just a loaded supplement. That one is just filled with aminos. It's got pump ingredients, performance ingredients. It's like a peri-workout, so for pre, post, and intra, carbohydrates in the mix as well. So it's just a packed out intra-workout with a whole bunch of everything. And Vayu's all new intra, which is the name of the intra-workout, is along the same lines. They've just brought together a whole bunch of ingredients to, I guess, all in the effort to enhance performance and endurance. That was the goal with this one, was to truly be an intra-workout that delivered. And before I tell you what's in it, again, this was one of those things that I was surprised about, because they have their pre-workout, relatively, not hugely expensive or not super low, but right in the moderate area. You have their protein, their energy, and their relatively loaded mTOR, the amino, which I think I might have mentioned, it has 20 grams of aminos in it, or just shy of. But the intra-workout is the same, and I was curious when they said they didn't have budget as a limit, and that is very much the case, because while the amino was expensive, they took it to a whole new level with this one. This one is 79 euros, which, for those wondering what the currency exchange is, that works out to about $88, which is insane, which makes it one of the most expensive. I think it's probably one of the most expensive intra-workouts. I'm pretty sure Anabolic isn't as expensive as that. But it was just, again, it's not so much what's in it, it's just that that's the strategy they went with. They were like, let's make our amino super expensive, or like super loaded, and let's make our intra-workout super loaded. And it's just, you don't see that often. Usually it's expensive pre-workout, fully dosed, and even an expensive protein, because moderately priced proteins are a dime a dozen, so you got to make your stuff stand out by adding all these extra ingredients. But that's not really the approach they took on this one. And so the intra-workout, you get that's a 60-gram serving, but as you'd imagine, a lot of that is carbohydrates. You get 32 grams of carbs from the high-quality cluster dextrin. There's also Pepto Pro casein, hydrolyzed casein. There's 15 grams of that, which yields 12.5 grams of actual protein. Citrulline malate's in there as well at 4 grams. They didn't give me a ratio, so you don't actually know how much of that malic acid. And then you've got betaines in there, glutamine, creatinol phosphates in there, taurine, KSM 66, ashwagandha is in the mix. Not at a high dose, and none of that 600 milligrams at 100, very similar to the Gaspari's Detonate, and some electrolytes to support hydration. So it's more of a premium product with those branded ingredients in there, going with KSM 66, Pepto Pro, cluster dextrin. It's just it's, like I said, very similar to Anabolic, a lot of ingredients in one. But you can check it out on the site. It's interesting just to see this brand and how they're picking their spots and picking their categories, and again picking where to put their expensive and higher priced products and focus. It's interesting. So I'm excited to see where they go from here. But definitely check it out on the site. We got links on that post as well that show you their other stuff. But the brand's called Vayu, VAYU. Again, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I'm just pronouncing it as I see it. It's a German brand. You can't get it in the US from retailers, from what I know so far. But they have partnered with Gaspari Nutrition, which is a huge European German-based supplement retailer, and they actually ship all around the world. You may remember them because I think it was GN Labs. We had a pre-workout. We had one of their pre-workouts ranked number 1, and they were one of the only places that sold it. And people were buying that and shipping it worldwide. So that's how we found about those guys. But the last story we have for this episode, and this is, I guess, one of the biggest story from the last few weeks, and this is Muscletech. So Muscletech pretty much came out firing the past couple of weeks with just a huge announcement. And as far as mainstream brands go, you don't really see something this big from a mainstream brand. Just to put it in perspective, Optimum announced a small rebrand to hit its line. I think it was last year. Maybe I'm pretty sure it was last year. They announced small rebrands to their lineup, and they've been rebranding those supplements one at a time. I think we've highlighted their Gold Standard because that was one of the first ones they did. And then they did Serious Mass, which had a bit of a change. I believe they added more creatine, if I remember. And so they've been doing products at a time. And if you're a fan of this, you'll see it. You'll see changes here and there with their branding. But Muscletech came out with a rebrand, and this is a lot more than a rebrand. And this isn't just one product gradually like Optimum. This is a whole line revamp, and I couldn't be any more clear than a whole line. Like, they restructured the hell out of it. And the thing is back in the day, or not even back in the day, a few years ago, you would see Muscletech rebranding, and not really rebranding, just relaunching new series, and with those series came new looks. This would be the first time I've seen them completely revamp a look that doesn't really continue on from the last one, and a restructuring, because again, usually they do new series, and you would just see one series replace another, or split up into two series. So Muscletech has come out with just, I would call it an entirely new Muscletech. Just the amount of products and changes is just impressive, to say the least. So firstly, they've changed their logo, and they've done the biggest logo change I can even remember, because they've put a lot more focus on like an actual M graphic rather than the just the name and the circular thing. So they've done it's a big change in that area. Then they've completely changed their look. Now, previously you had that like fibrous kind of graphic vector line stuff that they had, and that carried across each of their supplements. Not so much the SX7 series. While I'm talking about this, you're probably going to have to be familiar with Muscletech with all the things I'm going to throw out, because again, this is a lot of stuff that they've done. But they've changed to this very clean, more modern look that's very, just very clearly categorized, if you get what I mean. So they have 3 lines. So a lot of the supplements that they had in their previous series and previous lines have remained, such as Nitrotech, Celtech, Clear Muscle, Shatter. So a lot of these things have remained. They've just divided them up. So instead of having a Performance series, an SX7 series, an SX7 Revolution, Black Onyx, and all those different lines that they had, they now have 3 very clear, very focused lines. And they're not going to be doing, as far as I know, they're not going to be doing exclusive lines like they did, like they had, and they spread themselves thin. Products are just going to be in these 3 lines, which equate to certain categories, if that makes sense. So there's the Performance series, which I guess is your more moderate, more mainstream type line. You then have the lifestyle-focused health and wellness series. Now that is, I think it's maybe it's health and fitness. Can't remember the official name, but it's a very just regular lifestyle stuff, as opposed to more sport, performance, and general enthusiast-focused products. And then there is their more advanced series, which is the Elite series. Now again, a lot of these things are, those are the three different series, but the products that fill up each of those series are very familiar. So the Hydroxycut's still in there, Nitrotech's in there, Shatter's still in there, but they've put them in these different lines, and so you get things like Shatter Elite, which is in the Elite series, and then you get Amino Build Elite, which is in the Elite series, and so you have these different products spread out throughout the line, but they're all very familiar, and their intentions are much the same. So Nitrotech is still very much a protein powder, Shatter is still a pre-workout, Amino Build is still an amino, but they've just made them very separate. So if you're just someone who's getting into the gym, a more mainstream consumer, you'd go with the Performance series. And, let's just say you want to spend a little bit more money, you want to get a little bit extra. They've got the Elite series. And if you're just someone who's not really all about that, they have that the Health and Fitness series. And so it's a very clear design, and the supplements in each of these lines are kind of make that clear. So for example, the Shatter in their Elite series is their more advanced pre-workout, and I do believe they have a pre-workout in each of the series, but again, it's that different category, it's that different goal, that's what separated them, but obviously the supplements themselves have their own little tweaks and twists. So, for example, Amino Build in the Performance series is different from the Amino Build in the Elite series. The Amino Build in the Performance series is very much like the Amino Build that Muscletech's most recent Amino Build that fans will be familiar with. But for the Elite series, they made it a more complex supplement. They gave it a bit of a twist. It's now a full spectrum, more comprehensive and complex amino supplement. So you kind of get what I'm saying, that they've split these things up, and just to make it very clear. Because I had seen comments where people were saying when we would post about this product for this line that's exclusive to this retailer, and they would get lost in all these different lines, and with this they've just really just cleaned things up and just really streamlined is probably the better word, streamlined it all. Again, so they have Hydroxycut in the Performance series, which is I think like $25 a bottle. I think it's $25 a bottle. Then they have Hydroxycut in the Elite series, a more complex supplement, and I think it's like late 40s a bottle. So you can see they've made it very clear. And while there aren't many supplements in each of the lines right now, that won't be the case. They aren't going to just leave it at this. I believe the Health and Fitness series is very small. It's just got a basic protein powder, and then they've got their ISO Whey Clear, which is the clear mixing whey isolate, or the fruit flavored whey isolate, and then there's like 6 or 7 in each of the other ones, but they will be expanding these out and bringing in more supplements throughout the year to fill them out, and keeping them all very much in line with their series and in line with their focus. So again, it's a lot to unpack. When we were writing it, it was just they hit us up, and I just said, this is more than just a rebrand, because that's what they said it was. It's just it's a shift in direction. Everything is still fully transparent. You can check out their pre-workout as well, and I think we highlighted it because that was one of the ones that has some of the biggest changes. And it's for a mainstream, for a well-known legacy brand, it's well put together. They have not they had switched to like fully dosed transparency several years ago, one of the earlier ones to jump on it, around the time Jim did. They kind of stepped it up again. Like their pre-workout, I think, is a good example of that. It doesn't really pack or come with a whole amount of things that we have seen in other brands, but it's probably one of the better pre-workouts you'll find from, I guess, a legacy brand like Optimum or even Cellucor to some extent. Just to give you a run off of the highlights in their new Shatter Elite is the Elite series, their premium pre-workout. You get 6 grams of citrulline, 1.2 grams of red spinach, which is a source of nitrates, NO3T branded nitrates, providing 15%, 180 milligrams. of nitrates, beta-alanine in the mix, betaine, choline, dynamine, xynamide, which is a hugely popular ingredient right now, stimulant, of course, for energy, long-lasting energy, and then you got alpha size, alpha GPC, your herb. It's quite interesting to see that approach, and I guess they are delivering on that premium level. So the Elite Series stuff is going to stand out a little more than their mainstream stuff. But yeah, definitely worth a look. We'll be sharing more of the products because again, they have a lot more in store for the rest of the year. I think we'll be doing other highlights. We haven't highlighted every single product because again, it's a lot to unpack. But we've been doing little spots here and there of the products that have changed the most. Just if you're a Muscletech fan and you're used to buying Amino Build, again, you need to know that Amino Build Performance is very different from an Amino Build Elite. If you like the old one for whatever reason, or the previous lines one, you'll want Amino Build from the Performance series. If you want to switch to a full spectrum EAA, then you go Amino Build Elite. So again, we'll be highlighting those things. I think one of the next ones we'll be doing is the Hydroxycut. As I mentioned earlier, there's one for the Performance series and one for the Elite series. But you can check it out all on their site. It's going to be a strong second half of the year for them, from what I'm being told. So, thank you for tuning in for this episode. I will promise that I'll be here next week with another one. But I look forward to having you back then.